She said at my promotion dinner. Can we leave? I'm bored, and you're not even that important at your company. My CEO was sitting across from us. I said, of course. Then I stood up, apologized to my CEO, and drove her home in complete silence. When I returned to the restaurant alone, and my boss asked what happened, original post. 31 male, work in commercial insurance. Not glamorous, I know. Nobody's making movies about actuarial tables and policy underwriting. But I'm good at it. I've been grinding at this company for 6 years, and 3 weeks ago I got promoted to regional VP of our division. At 31, youngest person to hold that title in the firm's history. The company wanted to do a celebration dinner. Not a huge thing. My CEO, my direct boss, the SVP, 2 other senior directors and their spouses. Nice restaurant. The kind where the menu doesn't have dollar signs and you pretend you know what Pomsdorfine means. The company was picking up the tab. All I had to do was show up, be personable, and bring my girlfriend of 2 years. My girlfriend doesn't work in corporate. She's a hairstylist, which is totally fine. I've never once looked down on her career. She's talented and makes solid money. But she's always had this weird chip on her shoulder about my job. Not jealousy exactly, more like dismissiveness. Like, because she doesn't understand what I do, she's decided it can't be that important. Whenever I talk about a big client win or a presentation that went well, she'd say something like, "That's nice, babe," in the same tone you'd use when a 5-year-old shows you a drawing. I told her about the dinner 2 weeks in advance. I told her it mattered to me. I told her the CEO would be there. I told her to please dress up. She rolled her eyes but said she'd come. Night of the dinner. She looked great. Credit where it's due. We got there, everyone was already seated. My CEO, older guy, very sharp, the kind of person who remembers every detail you've ever told him, stood up to shake my hand and congratulated me. His wife was there too, super warm, immediately started chatting with my girlfriend. First 30 minutes went fine. Appetizers came. Conversation was flowing. My boss was telling a story about when I first started and accidentally sent a policy quote to the wrong client for double the amount. Everyone laughed. Normal work dinner stuff. Then my CEO raised his glass and gave a little toast. Nothing crazy, maybe 45 seconds. He talked about how I'd grown in the company, how I'd brought in 3 of our top 10 accounts, how the board had unanimously approved my promotion. It was the best professional moment of my life. I felt like all those late nights and early mornings actually added up to something. I glanced at my girlfriend. She was on her phone, under the table, but still. During the toast, I nudged her foot. She looked up, gave a tight smile, and put the phone away. Dinner continued. Main courses arrived. My CEO's wife asked my girlfriend what she did, and my girlfriend gave a 1-sentence answer and then went back to pushing her risotto around. The SVP's wife tried to engage her about a Netflix show. My girlfriend said, "I don't really watch TV," which is a lie because we literally binge-watched an entire season of a dating show last weekend. About 90 minutes in, there was a natural lull in conversation. My CEO was telling me about a potential client relationship he wanted me to lead. Mid-sentence, my girlfriend leaned over, not whispering, not even trying to be quiet, and said, "Can we leave? I'm bored. And honestly, you're not even that important at your company. This whole dinner is kind of excessive." Dead. Silence. My CEO stopped talking. His wife looked down at her plate. My boss stared at his wine glass like he was trying to teleport into it. One of the directors coughed. The moment lasted maybe 4 seconds, but it felt like 4 years. I put my napkin on the table. Looked at her. She looked back at me like she'd just asked me to pass the salt. Zero awareness that she'd just detonated a bomb. Me. Of course. Let me drive you home. I stood up, buttoned my jacket, and turned to my CEO. Me. Sir, I sincerely apologize. I'll be back in 30 minutes if you're all still here. Dinner's on me tonight. My CEO, and I'll never forget this, just nodded once and said, "Take your time." The walk to the car was silent. The drive was silent. 15 minutes of nothing. She tried twice to start talking. Her. "Why are you being weird?" Silence. Her. "Oh my God, are you seriously mad?" I was just being honest. Silence. I pulled up to her apartment. Yeah, she has her own place. We don't live together, and unlocked the doors. She sat there for a second. Her. You're not coming in? Me. No. Her. So you're choosing work people over me? Me. Good night. She got out, slammed the door hard enough to rock my car, and went inside. I sat in the parking lot for about 2 minutes, just breathing. Then I drove back to the restaurant. When I walked back in, everyone was still there. They'd ordered another round of drinks. My boss saw me first and stood up. My boss. You good? Me. I'm good. I'm sorry about that. That was completely unacceptable and I'm embarrassed. My CEO waved his hand. Sit down. We've all been there. My first wife told a client I was boring at a company golf outing in 1994. I married better the second time. His current wife laughed and said, Damn right you did. The table loosened up. We stayed another hour and a half. It actually turned into one of the best conversations I've had with leadership. Honest, unguarded. My CEO told me point blank that he saw me as future C-suite material and that the way I handled the situation told him more about my character than any quarterly review ever had. I drove home that night feeling two completely different things at once, proud of how I handled the professional side and heartbroken about what it meant for the personal side. Update 1 5 days later.
So I didn't call her that night.
Or the next day. She didn't call me either, which told me everything I needed to know. She didn't think she'd done anything wrong. Sunday morning, 2 days after the dinner, she finally texted. Her. Are you going to keep pouting or are we going to talk like adults? I didn't respond immediately. Went to the gym, had breakfast, thought about what I actually wanted to say. Around noon I replied. Me. I think we should talk in person. I can come by around 3. Her. Fine. I got to her apartment at 3. She opened the door in sweats, arms crossed, full attitude already loaded. Her. So, are you done with the silent treatment? Me. I want to break up. I said it that plainly because I'd spent 2 days thinking about it and I didn't see any version of this where I explained the problem and she actually got it. Her. What? Over a stupid dinner? Me. You humiliated me in front of the most important people in my career. My CEO was mid-sentence. Everyone at that table is someone who influences my future. And you said I wasn't important. Out loud. In front of all of them. Her. I was bored. I sat there for 2 hours listening to insurance talk. Do you know how painful that was? Me. Yes. I asked you to do one thing for me. One evening. And you couldn't do it. Her. Because it was boring. And it is excessive. You got a promotion, not a Nobel Prize. They were acting like you cured cancer. That line right there. Not a Nobel Prize. That's when I knew this wasn't about one bad night. This was how she saw me. My work, my ambition, my achievements. She thought they were small. She'd always thought they were small. Me. We're done. I wish you well. Her. You're not serious. Me. I am. Her. Over one comment? Me. It wasn't one comment. It was 2 years of comments. This was just the first one other people heard. I left. She didn't follow me out, which surprised me. I figured the explosion would come later. I was right. Monday night, I got a call from her older brother. He and I used to get along. We'd watch football together sometimes when I was over at family stuff. He opened with, her brother. Hey man, what happened? She's over here crying saying you dumped her out of nowhere. Me. It wasn't out of nowhere. She said something disrespectful at a work dinner in front of my CEO and I ended it. Her brother. What did she say? I told him, word for word. Long pause. Her brother. Yeah, that's bad.
But come on, man.
She's not great in those kinds of settings. You knew that. Me. I did. That's why I prepped her for 2 weeks, told her how important it was, and asked her to just be polite for a couple hours. She chose not to. Her brother. She's talking about showing up at your office. Me. Tell her that's a really bad idea. He said he'd talk to her. I appreciated the heads up. Tuesday at work, my boss called me into his office. I thought it was about a client.
Nope.
My boss. Closed the door. Listen, I'm not going to pretend Saturday didn't happen. I've seen a lot of things in 20+ years of these dinners. That was a first. But here's what I want you to know. The way you handled it actually impressed people. The CEO mentioned it to me this morning. He said, and I'm paraphrasing, that kid kept his composure when most people would have lost it. That's who I want leading a region. Me. Thank you. I appreciate that. My boss. Also, and this is off the record and none of my business, if she shows up here, security will handle it. Just so you know the protocol. The fact that my boss even had to say that made my stomach drop. Not because I thought she'd actually show up, but because the possibility existed that a professional boundary might need to be enforced because of a relationship I chose. Wednesday, she started texting. Not blowing up my phone, but steady. One every few hours. Her, I can't believe you're actually doing this. Her, my mom says you're overreacting and you owe me an apology. Her, everyone I've told thinks you're being ridiculous. Her, you embarrass me by leaving me at home and going back to that dinner. That last one. Read it again. SHE was embarrassed because I went back. Not because of what she said. Because I chose to return to my professional obligation instead of staying home and validating her behavior. I responded once. Me. I've made my decision. Please respect it. I hope things go well for you.
Her, wow.
You're actually cold. I wasted 2 years on someone who would throw me away over a dinner. I didn't reply. Thursday, her mom called me. I knew this was coming. Her mom has always liked me because, and I quote from a Thanksgiving conversation, you're stable and you have benefits. Romance at its finest. Her mom. She made one mistake.
One.
And you're going to throw away the whole relationship. Me. Ma'am, it wasn't one mistake. She's been dismissive about my career the entire relationship. The dinner was just the most public version of it. Her mom. She doesn't understand corporate stuff. That's not her world. You can't punish her for not knowing how to behave at some fancy dinner. Me. I'm not punishing her. I'm choosing not to be with someone who belittles what I do. Those are different things. Her mom. You're making a huge mistake. She's a beautiful girl. You think you're going to find better? Me. I think I'm going to find someone who's proud of me. Yeah. Her mom hung up. I stood in my kitchen and made a sandwich and honestly felt more at peace than I had in months. Which probably says something about how long I'd been ignoring the problem. Update 2, 12 days later. Alright, I was hoping this would just fade out naturally, but it didn't. So, here's the final chapter. After the mom call, things went quiet for about 4 days. I started to relax. Started settling into the new role at work, meeting with my regional teams, learning the scope of the promotion. Busy in a good way. Then Friday night I got an interesting call. From my CEO's wife. She'd gotten my number from my boss's wife. She apologized for the unusual call and then said something that completely reframed the situation for me. She said, I wanted to tell you something because I think you need to hear it. At that dinner, after you left the first time to drive her home, your CEO looked at all of us and said, that young man just showed more class in 60 seconds than most people show in a lifetime.
He wasn't bothered by what she said.
He was impressed by what you did. I just thought you should know, because I have a feeling she's probably telling you the opposite right now. I thanked her, and we talked for a few more minutes. She told me her husband's first wife had been similarly dismissive of his work when he was building the company, and that watching me go through something similar brought it all back for both of them. She said, the right partner doesn't compete with your success. They sit front row for it. That call meant more to me than I could properly express.
Now.
The part you're all waiting for. The following Monday, I was copied on an email from HR. My ex-girlfriend, had sent an email to our company's general info inbox. The email was addressed to company leadership and was 4 paragraphs of absolute chaos. She claimed that I had used the company dinner to publicly humiliate her. She said I abandoned her at the restaurant and forced her to find her own way home from an unfamiliar part of town. That was a lie. I drove her directly to her apartment. She said the dinner was a toxic boys' club atmosphere that made her feel unwelcome and targeted. She said she was considering reaching out to local media about how the company treats the partners of its employees. She finished by saying that unless I apologized publicly and professionally for my behavior, she would take further action. My HR director forwarded it to me with one line. FYI, we're not responding. Documenting for file purposes only. My boss called me 20 minutes later. My boss. Did you see the email? Me. Yeah. My boss. The legal team reviewed it. There's nothing actionable. She's not an employee, not a client, not a vendor. She has no standing to make demands of the company. If she contacts media, our PR team handles it, not you. Me. I'm sorry this is spilling into. My boss. Stop. You didn't create this situation. You ended a relationship. She escalated it. That's on her, not you. Focus on the quarterly review. That's what matters. I want to pause here and say, I know not everyone has a boss or a company that handles things this way. I got lucky. The leadership at my firm is old school in a good way. They protect their people. I know that. I don't take it for granted. That same week, her brother called me again. Her brother. Mand, please tell me she didn't actually email your company. Me. She did. Her brother. I told her not to. I told her explicitly that was insane. Me. I appreciate you trying. Her brother. Look, I'm gonna be real with you. She's been telling everyone that you got her blacklisted from some kind of industry list. That your company is threatening to sue her. That your CEO personally called her to intimidate her. None of that happened, did it? Me. Not a single word of it. Her brother. Yeah. I didn't think so.
I'm sorry, man.
I think she's having a hard time accepting this, and she's constructing a version of events where she's the victim. Me? I get it. But I need to be clear, if she contacts my company again, or shows up at my office, I'm going to pursue a restraining order. Not to be dramatic. For my career. Her brother. Understood. I'll make sure she hears that. 2 days later, I got a text from an unknown number. It was her roommate, someone I'd only met a couple of times. Her roommate. Hey, I don't know if this matters, but she's been telling people that you're the one who embarrassed her at the dinner. That you made her sit through 4 hours of boring conversation and then ditched her. She showed me the email she sent your company. I told her it was a terrible idea. She said her mom helped her write it. The mom helped write it. Of course she did. The same woman who told me I should apologize because her daughter is a beautiful girl. Entitlement is apparently hereditary. I thanked the roommate and saved the texts. Everything goes in the folder now. Every communication. Every screenshot. The restraining order threat, relayed through her brother, actually worked. Sort of. She didn't contact the company again. She didn't show up at my office. But she did one last thing that was so perfectly on brand it almost made me laugh. She mailed a letter, an actual physical letter, on stationery, to my apartment. It was 3 pages, handwritten. I'll give you the summary because reading the whole thing would take you as long as it took me, and I needed a coffee break halfway through. Page 1 was the good times recap. All the trips we took, the dinners we had, how she was always there for me. Standard breakup grief stuff. I felt that part, not gonna lie. We did have good times. Page 2 pivoted into how I had changed since the promotion talk started. How I became obsessed with impressing people who don't actually care about me. How I chose my career over real human connection. She said I was becoming someone she didn't recognize. Page 3 was the kicker. She said, and I'm paraphrasing from memory, that she'd given me 2 years of her life, and she deserved compensation for the emotional labor of supporting my career. She said I should pay for 6 months of her rent as a fair settlement since she'd sacrificed social opportunities to attend my boring work events. 6 months of rent. For attending maybe 4 work events over 2 years, 3 of which she left early. I put the letter in the folder with everything else. I didn't respond. That was 2 weeks ago. Last Thursday, my CEO pulled me aside after a board presentation. I'd just walked the board through our regional growth projections, and it went well. He said, I've been where you are. 31. Career on the rise, wrong person in the passenger seat. It stings for a while, and then one day you realize the sting was trying to teach you something. Don't let this slow you down. The board loved your presentation today. My boss took me out for a beer after work that evening. He told me the CEO had never personally commented on a junior executive's relationship situation before in 20 years. He said that meant something, and not to waste whatever goodwill that moment had built. Here's where I'm at now. I'm 3 weeks into the biggest promotion of my career. I have a team of 16 people, depending on me to lead well. My Q1 targets are aggressive, and I'm behind on 2 of them. I have a lot of work to do, and not a lot of time to sit around feeling sorry for myself. Do I miss her? Parts of her. The version that showed up on good days when she wasn't performing for an audience or competing with my job for attention. That person was fun and warm and made me laugh. But that person also came packaged with someone who could look me in the eye at the most important dinner of my career and tell a table full of executives that I wasn't important. My buddy at work asked me last week if I was dating anyone. I said, I'm dating my quarterly projections right now, and they're playing hard to get. He didn't laugh. It was funnier in my head. The letter is still in the folder. The folder is in my desk drawer. I'll probably keep it for a while. Not because I'm sentimental, but because entitled people don't just go away. They reload. And if she or her mom decide to take another shot, I've got every text, every email, every entry logged and ready. But honestly, I think it's over. Her brother told me she's been quieter lately. Not apologetic. Let's not give her that much credit, just quieter. The roommate said she's back to her routine. Life moves on, even for people who think they deserve 6 months of rent for sitting through dinner conversation. I'm cooking more now, making these elaborate meals just for myself because I can. Last night, I made this garlic butter steak with roasted potatoes and a glass of bourbon and ate it at my kitchen table in complete silence. And it was the most peaceful meal I've had in 2 years. Some of you are going to say I should have fought harder for the relationship. That people say dumb things when they're uncomfortable, and I should have given her a chance to grow. Maybe. But here's the thing. She didn't think she said anything wrong. She still doesn't. And you can't fix a problem that the other person refuses to see. My name is on an office door now. It's got my title on it and everything. Every morning I walk past it and think, yeah, actually, I am kind of important at this company. And the next person who sits across from me at a dinner like that is going to think so too. Thanks for reading. My DMs are a disaster, so I probably won't respond to everything, but I appreciate the support. To the people saying I'm a workaholic robot who can't maintain relationships, fair criticism. I'll bring it up with my therapist. To everyone else, go eat a steak. You deserve it.